how can I be better next time? That's the only lesson to be learned. That's how we've got this two-tier policing system at the moment. Leaflets out in Urdu. They've done a video in Urdu. This has been going on for 2 decades that I know of. I want some of them in jail for dereliction of duty, for turning a blind eye, for selling our little girls down the river for a handful of votes.
So, Mr. Nick Buckley, who is Nick Buckley, MBE?
Who am I? Most people know who I am if you've been followed me online, but I'm just a kid off a council estate, born and raised in South Manchester, single parent household. Never knew my father. He died when I was 6, but I have no memory of him because my mum and dad split up before that. I came from a very loving household. Got very nice memories of growing up. We had no money. We were poor. Out of all my friends, I knew at the time I was the poorest. But like I said, I came from a very loving household. I was never short of food, of kisses, of cuddles, of hugs, anything like that. But I never had the latest toys, and that didn't affect me at all. I had a stutter growing up till about 13. I used to talk like that. It's hard to believe now because I never shut up and I don't stutter anymore. But I overcame that, and that gave me resilience. That made me be able to take the mickey out of myself, because I learned if I was the first person to crack a joke about me stuttering, everybody else then stopped taking the mickey. Because how can you take the mickey out of someone who's already taking the mickey out of themselves? You take the power away from people by embracing your deficits, what you're not good at, your failures. Embrace it, own it, and then other people can't use it as a weapon against you. So that was a big lesson I learned growing up. And then I drifted through my teens and my 20s. I thought I was Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses. I thought I was going to be a millionaire. I got to 30 and went, this isn't working out, is it, Nick? This isn't working out. So at 30, I got my first proper job, working for somebody else at Manchester Airport. And that changed my life. It was a poorly paid job, but it was regular money every month. And I never had regular money before. I was always flush or I was skint because I was always self-employed. So that made me appreciate working for someone else. Then I got a job at Manchester Council, and that was where my career began, really. I was about 32 at the time, probably older. And I fell into a job working with young people, stopping them getting involved in crime. And I excelled at it. I was just natural at it because I was one of those kids growing up. I was lucky because I never got caught with some of the things I did, which were I never should have done. I didn't get caught. So I was very lucky. But if I'd have got caught, that might have pushed me down a whole different path in life. So I worked with kids to stop them making mistakes that were going to ruin their lives. And then at the end of my council career, I was running Manchester City Centre in terms of reducing crime and antisocial behaviour. Then in 2011, austerity kicked in. I was made redundant, and I took the money on the table and used that money to set a charity up to carry on the work I'd pioneered working with kids on the streets to stop them getting involved in crime. And then we expanded that to start working with homeless people on the streets to get them into accommodation and drug support. Then I was awarded an MBE of our late Queen for that work. And then my life became political in 2020 when I criticised Black Lives Matter at the height of Black Lives Matter. Not because I was brave, but because I was naive. At that point, I thought I was a free man with free speech living in a free country. I say that now and smile because how naive was I? I got sacked from the charity I founded. The world turned on me. I was a Nazi. I was this, I was that. I got some luck with the Free Speech Union and the Mail on Sunday. We mounted a fight back. Within 5 weeks, I made the board of the charity. I appointed these people. I made them all resign in disgrace, and I got the charity back. And then I left within a year because we couldn't get funding anymore with me involved because I was still Nick the Nazi, believe it or not.
Wow.
So I then said, right, politics for me. I was lucky to save my reputation somewhat and to be able to reclaim the charity. What about all the people who get cancelled, who don't have my luck, and that ruins their lives? So I became politicized then. And then since then, I've stood for election many times. The best I did was nearly 2 years ago when I stood for Mayor of Greater Manchester as an independent. I came third, and I just stood in the Gorton Denton by-election for Advance UK. We didn't do that well, but it's a new party. We had to stand somewhere and lose, so we got to make that journey start somewhere. So in a nutshell, that's me. No one special. Kid off a council estate. Fell into working with people and realized I was good at it and realized we need to improve society. And now I'm trying to get into politics so I can get my hands on some levers of power so we can change the country for the better en masse, not just one at a time.
Wow. There we go then. That leaving it there with your political career, that's where we're going to obviously talk now. Especially, I know you're not going to want to talk about or get any memories of Gaunton and Denton, but we have to go there. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, shall we say. How did you feel when they said like 154 votes and Monster Raving Looney Party had 159?
Yeah.
I was on the floor, literally. I was gobsmacked. I mean, how did that make you feel?
You weren't as shocked as I was. At that point of the evening, we knew we weren't going to win. We knew the Greens had already won because you can see the piles of votes on the table. So we knew the Greens had won. Even at that point, I was hoping for, I think it was about 1,800 votes, because that would be 5%. We'd get our deposit. That would be a victory, keeping our deposit. So I was still hoping for a couple of thousand votes. And when they read out 154, it was like, is that have they made a mistake? Is that my name? Have they missed a zero off the end of it? But then you realize, no, that 154. Politics is unfair. Politics is tough. You don't enter a political race knowing you're going to win, because no one knows they're going to win. And then you have to realize two things. On the evening, apart from the Greens, we were all losers. We all lost. You can lose by 1 vote, or you can lose by 14,000 votes. You've still lost. So, there's no pleasure in losing. So then I didn't concentrate on how much we lost by. It makes no difference. And the second point is, you have to respect the voter. The voter made a decision. So my campaign either wasn't good enough, or I'm not good enough, or our PR wasn't good enough, or the other parties were far better than what we were doing. There has to be a reason. And the reason isn't to go, that's unfair, they cheated, they're too stupid to understand I'm the best candidate. That's no way to act when you lose a political election. You take it on the chin, and the first thing you say to yourself is, how can I be better next time? That's the only lesson to be learned. How can I be better next time? And I'm still processing that, and I'm still trying to work out how I can be better.
Well, can't argue with that. Someone did ask me this. Obviously, they would have asked it in there, but I grabbed it. It was a good question. And they actually said to me to ask you, like, do you think it was too early for you to stand as a candidate?
If it was about me and my reputation, then yes, it was too early. But it's not about me and my reputation. It's about Advance UK, and it's about saving the country. Now, political parties have to stand in elections. Otherwise, you're not a political party. You are a lobby group, or you're a moaning group. You have to stand. Every political party that was ever created, when they first stand, they get battered because no one's heard of them. No one knows their policies. They haven't got, the infrastructure in place yet, or they've not tweaked the infrastructure to work better. There's lots of things that, parties can do better, but you have to stand. You have to be in the race if you've ever got a chance of winning the race. Sitting on the sidelines and training, waiting for the day you enter the race, that day never comes, because there's never a day you're completely ready. So no, I don't regret standing. It's not about me. I took a beating, but you know what? I'm still, out of all the beatings I could take, that's quite a trivial beating. There's people out there who are dying from cancer, or the mums left them, or their problems that hard to solve, and you've got to get over. Being beat in an election with 10 other people who got beat as well isn't really a problem. So no, I'm glad we stood. We needed to stand. We've put our marker down now, and we only can go up.
Exactly. But do you think Advance actually, I don't know, from the outside, my answer to this is no, but you're on the inside. So do you think that Advance UK, maybe Ben into that, did all they could to advertise you, Advance UK, who you are, etc., for that by-election, or do you think something was maybe lacking?
They did everything they could. I've got no complaints about the help, the support, and the money I got from Advance UK. Did you see some of our videos? We produced some of the best political videos we've seen in a decade. Those AI videos we did about my life in Gorton and things like that, they went viral. They were absolutely amazing. The issue was the party's brand new and on the streets talking to people. Some people had heard of me because I've got a little bit of a reputation in Greater Manchester, only small, but some people have heard of me. Hardly anybody had heard of Advance. Hardly anyone had heard of Ben Habib. And same with the other parties. No one had heard of, hardly anyone had heard of Restore Britain or Rupert Lowe. These people, these parties may get bigger over the next couple of years, but at this moment in time, the general public have not heard of them. And that's not their fault. It takes time. It takes time to get the press on board. It takes time to do stunts. It takes time to buy advertisement. And the biggest hindrance we had at this by-election, and it was all the parties really, apart from the big uns, the biggest problem we had was it was such a short election. It was only 4 weeks. By the time it got announced, by the time we got our game up and running, that was a week. We only campaigned for 3 weeks. Reform and the Greens, they campaigned from day one. They were ready for it, but they've been around for decades. So that was the big issue for me, the length of the campaign. The campaign could have been longer, but that was down to the government. And the Labour government wanted this by-election over and done with as quick as they could. So they picked the shortest time legally that they could give a by-election. So we were gaining traction every single week. Maybe not as much as I thought we were at the time. Obviously, look at the votes. but as every week went by, we were engaging more people, speaking to people, delivering more leaflets. We were getting better and better. If this had been an 8-week campaign, I'm sure I would have done a lot better. Wouldn't have won it, obviously, looking at the results now, but we would have done a lot better.
Fair comment. And will you be standing for Gorton and Denton next time round? I mean, what have you got planned for your political future now?
I'll be standing again. Where and when, I don't know. It may be Gorton and Denton again. There may be another area close to there that might be better for me. That might be a better fit, or we may have a better chance of winning. So I will be standing. My political career is only beginning. It's not ending. But where and what and how at this moment in time, I don't know. That'll be events will dictate what I do next.
Yeah, as long as you don't do what the Greens done, because I'm going to ask you now, how did you feel about the Urdu advert from Greens? I thought, being that we're a Christian country, and this is England, honestly, I was shocked. I mean, what did you think when you saw it? You must have been like, what?
I wasn't shocked at all. This has been going on for decades. The biggest shock I got was how the mainstream media talked about it. Oh, they're putting leaflets out in Urdu. They've done a video in Urdu. This has been going on for 2 decades that I know of. In Rochdale a couple of years ago, where George Galloway won the MP seat, he did letters. He did letters for Muslims and letters for white British people. And depending who you were, depending what letter you got through the post, we've already had leaflets for decades now in Urdu, in other languages. This isn't new. This was just new for this by-election, for the press to make a lot out of it. Been going on a long time.
Fair play, fair play. I've got sort of a question here and a question. I'm trying to work out which way around these could go, but I'll just do them that I've written them, because I was hoping to be very professional and in order. But where you're answering and saying stuff, it sort of goes more into the next question. But
Yeah.
like being Advanced UK, this is probably going to be silly now I'm asking it, but I know you're going to say no now, but it'd be interesting to see what you say. But people have sort of mentioned it, and that's why I picked up on it. But if Advanced UK remained unknown to the masses like they are at the moment, like the public awareness is, or the social media presence isn't as good as it could be. Now, one, do you think Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe are a good thing for this country? And two, if it was that bad for Advance, would you possibly consider moving over to Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe, or is that just no, I'm Advance?
Two parts to that question. The first part is,
yes,
anyone can set up a political party in this country, and we should encourage people to do that. I'm not one of these people who think, oh, you're splitting the vote, it's my party, or not, every other party is rubbish and crap. No, we live in a democracy. Everyone has the right to set up a party to campaign the way they want to campaign, and good for them. Even if it's something I disagree with, even if it's a far left party like the Greens, well, good for the Greens for getting organised, and good for the Greens for selling their message to people and winning the election. Good for them. It's called democracy. I like Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe, by head and shoulders, is the best MP in the Houses of Commons. He set up Restore. Restore is brand new. I've not paid that much attention to Restore at the moment. We'll see how they develop over time. Over time, maybe Advance and Restore will either merge, or maybe they'll come to some sort of agreement, or maybe one of them will kill the other one off. All these things are possibilities. But what I like at the moment is suddenly the right wing of politics is interesting. We've got different parties there with different ideas, and they're all quite similar, but all got different ideas, different philosophies, different ways of doing business. And that's what we need. We need more voices. We need more ideas. We need more people interested in saving this country. And then it's down to the electorate. It's always down to the electorate. It's not for me to tell someone else how to vote and how not to vote. And that party's crap, and I don't like him, and don't vote for them. That's not the style of politics I do. So I hope Restore do well. I hope Advance do well. And I hope maybe there's some agreements maybe in the future. But it's all too early to tell yet. You know, Restore are not even registered yet as a political party. They've not stood in an election yet. They may find when they first stand that the elections are just as tough as the one I stood in. And that might be a wake-up call. Or it could be the opposite. They could stand and suddenly the first election they win because they're amazing, in which case maybe they found the path to power. Who knows? I'm just not criticizing anybody for getting involved in politics and trying to make a difference and trying to save this country, because we need more people doing that, not less.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. The videos that Ben Habib released, then he was literally should we say who's been derogatory but to Restore, but he wasn't talking them up, should we say. I'm trying to think which way to say it, because to me what he done and how he said that's politics and he's getting it out there, but I got loads of people messaging saying like, what's Ben saying, that he's revealed himself, that should be done behind behind closed doors, that's seriously wrong and all that. I mean, do you think, you know, the airing it in public or something, and the videos that he done with regards to Restore, not the merger, and saying that they're sort of what was it, sort of was it internally? No, it wasn't internally racist, full tilt racist, and that. I mean, you may not want to comment on that being that it's Ben, but I mean, what did you think?
Everyone's got their own styles, so I don't think I'd have gone down that path. But Ben's got more information than me, and Ben is his own man, so Ben can answer questions and portray the party and represent the party the way he thinks best.
Yep.
We will see if that damages advance or not damages advance. He's got his own reasons for that, and I'm sure he's given those reasons to other people on different podcasts.
Yes.
But again, we need to be careful of judging people because they've not done something we would have done the way we would have done it.
Yeah.
I want people to be honest. I want people to speak from the heart, because that's how we can judge people. If we're going to get a new type of politics, we need people shooting from the hip. We need people who are going to tell you the truth, even if you don't like it, even if we know they're wrong. Well, at least they don't think they're wrong, and they've got a right to give their opinion. We need to move away from the old style of everything's polished, everything is PR and spin, where it sounds good, but deep down inside we look into their eyes and we go, you don't believe a word you're saying, do you? So I believe Ben believes everything he said, and that's up to Ben. I will have different opinions with Ben sometimes, and I will speak, I will shoot from the hip when I think I know what I'm talking about. Just because I think I know what I'm talking about doesn't make it factual. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong about lots of things, just like Ben and Rupert and every other politician will be wrong on lots and lots of things. So I'm not criticizing people on what they say and what they do. I concentrate on the way I act and the things I say. But we need new ideas. And if we're going to get new ideas and new ways of doing things, we have to risk upsetting people. And as a nation, we need to get a backbone, and we need to get some tougher skin. Because if people talking about things upsets you and makes you anxious and makes you depressed, then that's on you. You need to be tougher. You need to grow a pair, because we've got real issues in this country, and we can't solve those issues if we're constantly worrying about the words we use or the phrases we say. Say the truth, say what you think, say it the way you want to say it, and then take the consequences from your speech. If you upset people, you upset people, but at least do it honestly.
Yep. The reason he said like full tilt racist obviously become apparent. Did you see the X posts? I mean, it was ridiculous. There's actually 3 minutes of it just constantly scrolling, and obviously they're using the insult that is short for the being Pakistani. Obviously, X done nothing about it. It all stayed up there. I mean, the amount of it coming through and the amount he received was absolutely ridiculous. And like, just because of his surname, Habib, just because his dad was Pakistani, I mean, there's no excuse for that, regardless, surely. I mean, the man's like as British as they come, is he not?
Those posts didn't come from Restore Britain. They came from people who say they're followers, members of Restore Britain. Restore Britain are not responsible for their supporters saying things on X, just like Advance UK is not responsible for supporters of Advance UK who may say some horrendous things. So that's the first point. Second point is the internet and X is full of vile people, nasty people. I get death threats all the time. I get some horrendous things sent to me. Not as much as Ben Habib, I take that. But Ben Habib is a strong person. He's been in politics a long time. I'm sure he's faced all those insults before. And again, people only use those insults in the hope it's going to have an effect on you. Like me and my stuttering. You have to ignore those insults, because if you don't ignore those insults and don't let them get to you, then that's the only way to take the power away from these nasty creatures who will use the most foul language. And again, it's just foul language. It's just insults. I'd be more concerned if Ben was being assaulted in the streets. Now, that's a serious problem, not necessarily being called hurty names online, which we shouldn't be doing. And I get that. And it's not nice. And it's not British. And it's not nice behavior. It's antisocial behavior. But on the grand scheme of things, it could be a lot worse. So I take that on board. And we need to ask the question, why? Why did he attract so much abuse? And it's because it's for several reasons. The first reason is we're tribal creatures, and suddenly Restore Britain have hit, have heard this, the gun they're off the tracks now. They seem to be doing well with membership, and they've sold themselves as, we're going to save the country, we're the last hope. And people have bought into that, and maybe rightly so. But with that comes that sense of, well, we're right, my team's right, everybody else is wrong. I've got to destroy everybody else because that helps my team. That's tribalism. We see it in all parties. I'm sure there's people in Advance UK doing exactly the same thing, supporters being nasty to other supporters because they're Advance UK. It's tribalism, and tribalism splits us into groups and then pits us against each other. Because for my tribe to do well, your tribe has to fail. And it's that mentality, and that's built into us.
Yep. Bearing in mind what I've just said with regards to his surname, and because he's not 100% parents that are English and everything, if Ben turned around to you and said, hang on, he was willing to step down for Rupert Lowe, which he's already said, like, if there's a merger, I'll step down, I'll be a part of the college, whatever. But if he turned around to you and said, right, I want you to be the leader, I'm stepping down because my surname and sadly that my father's heritage is actually going against the party, which I think is pathetic, but nonetheless. But then he said to you, right, Nick, I want you to step up to be the leader. Would you do that?
My initial answer would be no, because I wouldn't want Ben to leave, to resign as leader. But my position has always been clear. I will do whatever it takes to save this country. So if the opposite was true, if Ben Habib said to me, Nick, you're damaging the party, and we've got a chance of getting into power, but you're too outspoken, you've got views on this, and it's damaging the party, we'd like you to step down so the party has a better chance of winning a general election, I would step down. It's not about me. It's about the country. And everyone has a role to play in this fight to save the country. But not everybody can be a general. Not everyone can be the leader. Not everyone can be a soldier. We've all got different ways that we can fight, that we can help whoever to improve the country. You know, some of us just have money, in which case you can be, you can donate money. Others will be good on the internet. So all you may want to do is retweet everything and use the algorithms to push things forward and stuff like that. Everyone's got different skills. So I want to avoid it being a cult where it's all about the Messiah. And that's what Reform UK basically is. It's the Nigel Farage show, which isn't Nigel's fault. I like Nigel Farage. I think he's the best politician we've had in decades. But the party isn't Reform UK. It's a Nigel Farage party. And if he died of a heart attack tonight, Reform would collapse overnight. That's not a long-term strategy. So we need parties that can last without their leaders, because leaders come and go. So if Ben stepped down and wanted to step down, well, I would support whoever went next. And if people thought it was me, then I'd have to take that seriously and think about it. And the opposite, if people said, Nick, you're damaging our chances, I would step down as well.
Yeah. Fair do. See, you're very much like Ben. It's strange, isn't it? Like, you always know that if you're in politics for the right reason, you say things like what you said and what Ben says, like, oh, I'd step down. And straight away, you know, it's not about that person. And I think that speaks volumes about the characters of people. And they're the people we need in politics. I don't care where I am, as long as I'm involved, I want to do my bit. Oh, you're a leader, but can you step down? Yes, not a problem. I'm not, it's not about me. I mean, it's so refreshing to hear that, because I've never heard it before, ever, apart from Ben and yourself. So fair play to that. I mean, what can I say? But talk about the country and that. Where do we go with the move a bit more away from advanced now? Or saying that, the college, people do keep saying, oh, the college, the members that they weren't voted in, it's not actually democratic and this and that, but you're actually part of the college, so maybe you can tell the viewers in a better way, because Electrodoc's always saying like the college from the bottom up and this and that, but maybe if you could tell the viewers, like, what is the college, what's the purpose, and you're involved, so what do you do with the college?
Yeah. So look, the college is a good idea. No political party has an organization within it like the college. So this is a group of people from different walks of life, different experiences. They're experts in their field, or they bring something unique, and they're going to be used for when we're writing policies. So we've got a big cohort of people who are basically experts in certain fields. So if we're designing a policy around net zero, well, 10 people in the college may have the skills for that. Not everybody, not me, but some people in there will go, right, I'm a scientist, I'm a university lecturer on the environment, I'm this, I'm that. They get together. They then bring outsiders in as well. And together as a group, they create the policy and then present it to the executive board of the party. The college itself, if they can get enough votes together of college members, they can sack the leader. They can sack Ben Habib. So if the college decide Ben's going off on a tangent, or Ben now is not the leader we thought, or he's now become a hindrance to the party, the college can, with a majority vote, get rid of Ben. Pardon me. The college at the moment hasn't been voted in by the members, because we were looking, because everything had to start, and we've only got so many members at the beginning. Why should a handful of people then vote in people to the board when we haven't got enough members yet? How can we start creating policies when we haven't got the college yet? We need to get people in straight away. So initially, people were recruited by the executive, by Ben and the people on the board. They recruited the college. But very soon now, and I believe it's in the next month or two, and I must get an answer for this, because this needs to be done ASAP now. We've got, I think we've got about 50 people now in the college. That's a decent amount number now. So now we need to get to a stage now where new members should be voted in. Again, it's not happening now, but I believe it's going to be next month or two. This will start happening. But then every year, 10% of the college is voted out by the members. So therefore, we vote 10% out and we vote another 10% in. That keeps the college fresh. That makes sure people then know it's a time-limited position. It's a lot to ask for a busy person to say, can you join the college? Oh, yeah, I can do. How much time do you need off me? Oh, we're not too sure. How long do you want me to be in the college? Forever. That's a big ask. So if we can say to people, it'll only be a year or two, and then, you can put yourself up maybe to be voted out, or you can lead it, and then we'll recruit someone else to do the next couple of years. That makes it more easy for people to want to do it. But you're right. Advance UK is different because from day one, it promoted itself as a democratic party. And we're at a stage now where we need to follow that through now. Because Reform UK have spent the last 5 years saying, we're going to be a democratic party. It's like, oh, when? Because you're still not a democratic party. We need to make sure that we are, and that needs to be done in the next handful of months. Or at least we need to implement some of democracy in the next couple of months. Otherwise, we're just as guilty as every other political party promising democracy and never delivering it.
Yep. I did see, because I was actually quite surprised, quite shocked, but I understand why, because I watched the video. But how did you feel when Paul Thorpe done his video and said he's actually stepping down from the college?
It was a pity. I like Paul Thorpe.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to bring. But again, only he can make decisions for Paul Thorpe. He's not left Advance UK under the cloud. He's left saying, now that we've got Restore Britain, we need outsiders to try to pull things together. We need a right-wing movement. It's more than just one party. So he's taking his call now to be bigger than just one political party. And if he's successful, that will benefit Advance UK as well as Restore Britain, as well as some of the other parties on the right. So will he be successful or not? I don't know. And I'm sure Paul will admit he doesn't know, but he's going to give it a bloody good go. And if he is successful, it'll benefit everybody. And if he's not successful, well, do you know what? At least he had a go. At least he got off his backside and tried something different to improve our chances of improving the country. Sitting on your backside as an armchair commentator, or that party's crap, and I wouldn't have said that if I was Ben Habib, and Reform UK, they're not doing as well as they should be doing. It's quite easy when you've got skin in the game. And the people who do that sort of commentary need to get off the backside, pick a side, and start fighting for that side. Because just being a commentator, being a critic is very easy. It's very easy. Doing something, that's difficult.
Yeah, I was literally sort of putting myself into the same trap because maybe my feelings were hurt because I registered and become a member of Advance UK. You paid me money, it's all good. Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe come out, and I was just so like, what? Why now? I can't believe it when I've joined Advance. So I was literally in my videos going, well, Rupert Lowe, he's got that court case. He's treated those two women like that. He threatens the abusive, and he couldn't even run a football club. How could he run a country? And I started giving it that narrative. And then I had to stop myself and think, hang on, I'm hating on someone who I don't even know. This is not, that's not a good look. So I completely understand what you're saying. And I'm sure people like yourself wouldn't be interested in being interviewed by people like me if all you hear is, oh, Rupert Lowe, this and this and that. You think, hang on, if I talk to him, what's he going to say about me? Do you know what I mean? It's not big and it's not hard, as your mum used to say, like picking on people, especially when you don't know them and they can't defend themselves. And I completely understand. I was going down that road, and even now I say to people, right, I'm a member of Advance. I might become a member of Restore, but they're not actually a political party yet. I'll reel my neck in. I've looked into Rupert Lowe, seen what he's doing with regards to grooming gangs and everything. I'm like, well, there's actually more to the man than I realised. So I literally had to sort of change my narrative. So I know exactly what you're saying. It's just embarrassing when you realise that you think, do you know what? I was going to be that, like that, I don't know, YouTuber that was just, it's not good. It's not a good look. So yeah, I'm glad you said that, because.
And that's a good example. What you've just described then was a good example of you succumbing to tribalism. Suddenly there is another tribe that's a threat to your tribe, and automatically you go straight on the defensive and the attack. It's tribalism, and we're designed to be like that. So don't berate yourself too much. The fact you noticed it and corrected your behavior, rounds of applause for you noticing it and correcting it. Nothing wrong with Rupert Lowe. He's not in my party, but Rupert Lowe seems to me like a great guy. Things he's done. He donates all his wage as an MP to charity. He's done the grooming gang inquiry. By far, he's the best MP in Parliament. And we'll just have to wait and see what Restore Britain do. That's all we can do.
And that sort of leads on really actually with the grooming gangs, because I mean, what should have been done or what can be done? Did you not say that you'd do like the town or city, or every town and city should have its own grooming gang inquiry? Was that you? Because I don't want to sort of put words in your mouth, but I swear someone said it and I couldn't remember if it was you or not.
So when I was running in a by-election, one of my 5 promises was on day 1, I will launch a local grooming gang inquiry for Gorton and Denton. It didn't need much funding. Advance UK and Ben Habib both said, we'll fund it. So I didn't need any money. I had the beginnings of a board already set up to run from day 1. And it wouldn't have had the teeth, couldn't have got people arrested and in court. But my inquiry was going to be simple. It was going to be, we'll speak to people who say the victims in this area. We will collate their information. We'll look for patterns. As an MP, I can get information off the police. And if we can, if it looks like we can prove people were involved, police, council, former politicians covered it up and stuff like that, I was going to name and shame them in Parliament. That then would probably be the first domino that falls over for a proper investigation into the people I named. And that was going to be my strategy.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely would have worked. That would have literally shocked people to the core, but that's the way it needs. I mean, sorry, that's what it needs, because like, it seems sad that someone like Rupert Lowe had to raise money. I think it was what, £600,000 do an independent inquiry. We're like, hang on, we got loads of police and this, that, and everything else. What, why, or how did it come to the point that Rupert Lowe had to do it? I mean, Is this, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but is this because it's got its tentacles into a lot of places where everyone needs it shut up because it's maybe police, maybe political or something like that? I mean, does that cross your mind?
No, it's factual. That's completely true. We know that if we get to the truth, and we'll get to the truth in the next 10 years, but when we finally get to the truth, we'll find out that senior Labour and some Tory politicians knew all about it, covered it up and ignored it just so they could get Muslim votes. That's what we're going to discover. Then we're going to discover that local councillors, police officers, council staff were involved in the rapes, as well as the covering up, as well as the ignoring of it. We've got girls now on record saying, police officers raped me, police officers raped me, then took me to someone else's house for them to rape me. We've got the evidence, we've got the testimony now. The Maggie Oliver interview she did on Channel 4 2 years ago, she was talking about she was talking to one of the victims who gave a registration number of a car that would pick her up, and it was registered to a serving police officer in Greater Manchester. And the police then shut that investigation down. That's on TV, documentary with Maggie Oliver. So we know what went on. There's many reasons why it went on. The number one reason was the police and the councils didn't want to upset community relations. People were told you're racist if you report this, and local councillors wanted the Muslim vote. So local mosques said to them, you cannot damage the reputation of Islam in this area, because if you do, none of my people will vote for you again. So they covered it up, and then finally it filtered through to top politicians in Labour and don't forget, and the Tories. Why do you think the Tories did nothing in 14 years? Because they know they're also damaged by this. Not as much as Labour, but they know they're damaged. And when we finally get to the truth, we're going to have people in court. We're going to have people in the dock, senior police officers, senior former MPs in the dock explaining themselves. And I want some of them in jail. That's what I want. I want some of them in jail for dereliction of duty, for turning a blind eye, for selling our little girls down the river for a handful of votes. Some have got to get to jail. We won't jail all of them. We won't find them all. But my God, we could find some of them and send some of them to jail.
One thing that gets me is, yes, I completely understand the whole narrative of this. It hits hard, but where it, or in the way that it hits with me personally, is why I'm going to ask this question, because it wasn't till I was older, I realised, like, my neighbour literally groomed me and took me to football matches and this and that, and I didn't know what it was, obviously. And then there come a point where I just broke, and I said to my adoptive mum, I'm saying that for a reason, but then she's turned around and said, "Oh, keep your mouth shut," because his parents are good friends of ours, and you know, they're obviously more important than me and what I was going through. But one, he was not Muslim, and two, I'm not a young girl. So is there another narrative that's still yet to come out, where you've got obviously the non-Muslim people as well as Muslim people, but then you're talking there might be young boys who are victims that we don't know about?
Absolutely. Have you heard of a former MP, he's dead now, called Civil Smith? He was the MP for Rochdale. He spent decades and decades abusing boys. I've met one of his victims. So of course there's white paedophiles. Of course there is. I've stopped 15 girls and one boy being raped and abused. And the perpetrators of those crimes were all white. But they were paedophiles. They may have individually groomed their victim. But when we're talking about the grooming gangs, it's the word gang. That's the different part here. So these aren't an individual, a Pakistani individual grooming a child and raping them. That goes on just like it does in all communities. The difference here is it's gang related, as in me, my brother, my dad, and 3 of my cousins get together and we're going to rape a little white girl tonight. And it's a family day out for the males of my family. That's the difference here. The difference here is younger brothers at 12, 13, 14 will bring white girls back to their house as friends and introduce them to their older brothers and older uncles, who then buy them trainers and phones and splash money on them. So the younger Muslim brothers know what they're doing. They're recruiting for the older people. The wives, the girlfriends, the sisters all know what's going on. This is not a secret in those communities. They all know what's going on. These white girls are slags, the whores, the tarts. They deserve it. White girls are not like Muslim girls. Muslim girls are pure. These are white dogs. You can do whatever you like to these white dogs. And that's how, in some of these communities, that's how it's portrayed. So even the women know. Why do you think some of these Pakistani men can get 4 or 5 years in jail, come out, and are welcomed back into their communities by their children, by their wives, by their mosque? It's because they don't think they've done anything wrong, and their community doesn't see it as wrong. They were just white tarts. That's all they were. So we can't blame our men for that. They asked for it. They deserved it. And to contrast that to a story I got told when I was a kid. I had an old man who was a friend of mine, a neighbor, when I was a kid. And he told me about the Moors murderers, Ian Brady and whatever she was called. Myra Hindley.
Myra Hindley, yep.
Myra Hindley was from Gorton. And this old man lived in Gorton as a young man, then moved to Longside. That's where I spent a lot of my time in Longside. And he told me that her cousin, after they got arrested and prosecuted in jail for life, her cousin almost every Friday night was assaulted in the pub. Not because he was involved, he'd not seen her in decades, but because he had the same genes as a monster. He was assaulted every single weekend for being her cousin. Now, compare that to the men, Pakistani men leaving jail, going back to their communities. Any white paedophile in our country risks being assaulted every day once we find out he's a paedophile. And that goes with many other communities as well. We do not tolerate paedophiles. We think they're the lowest of the low. They're a danger to our children, a danger to all children. We punish them, sometimes illegally. Not in the Pakistani, Asian, Muslim community, we don't. They're welcome back. Excuses are made. That's the big difference there.
Wow. Basically it takes on to the next question is like, do you feel like today, I suppose, after everything we just said, that Islam is something that we as a country should be worried about and we should be addressing?
Yes and yes. But Islam isn't the big problem. Islam is just a consequence of our other problems, which is us being weak and pathetic. Islam will not conquer the UK, will not conquer the West. All you have to look at is the rest of the world. Look at every country where Islam dominates. Third world, basically. So Islam doesn't have the capabilities, doesn't have the population, doesn't have the intelligence to be able to conquer the West. They'll cause us problems. We're doing this to ourselves. I don't blame Islam. I don't blame migrants. I blame us. I blame 70 years of mass migration, of all our politicians encouraging more and more immigration. I blame my fellow citizens and voters who keep voting for parties who allow more and more people to enter the country. I blame us. I blame the English. I blame the British. We've done this to ourselves. Now that sounds awful, but there's also a silver lining to this, which is this. If we've done this to ourselves, it means we're responsible. It means we have the power to undo the things we've done. That's why I don't blame Islam. We're not going to change Islam. We're not going to convert Islam. We need to ignore Islam to a certain extent. We need to fix our problems. We need to fix our borders. We need to get better politicians. There's many things we need to do. Then we need to deport millions of people as well. And then Islam will not be a problem in our country and in the Western world any longer. We're allowing the infiltration of Europe and our country by people who don't belong here. And they're not fighting to get here. They're walking in, we're clapping them, we're celebrating that they're here, we're giving them 4-star hotels, we're giving them money, and after 5 years, we say to them, you can stay forever now. Oh, and by the way, now you can bring your family over as well legally. And we wonder why they're coming. We wonder why. So Islam's not the problem. We're the problem. If we fix ourselves and fix our country, the problems with Islam and mass migration will disappear quicker than we can imagine.
Even Shabana Mahmood said, didn't she, up to 4 people per family, £10,000 per person to leave the country. I'm like, she's like, oh, it saved money in the long run. But I'm not being funny, but I'll be taking 3 of my members of the family to this country to get 40 grand to leave straight away. Why would you not? You live in Afghanistan. Why would you not do that? I mean, surely that is literally another carrot being dangled, surely, as well as
it is
free accommodation and free mobile, free 50 quid a week or whatever it is. I mean, blimey. I mean, the illegal immigration problem is just ridiculous. And I think they're making it worse with these so-called ideas. I mean, would you ever in your political career think to yourself, let's offer them money to leave, like £10,000 a piece?
No, it's like paying criminals not to be criminals. It doesn't work. It's immoral. It sends the wrong message. What we need to look at is pull factors and push factors. So pull factors pull people into the country. Free hotel, not being locked up and interned in camps, free food, free money, 40 grand to leave. They're pull factors. We're pulling people into the country. What we need more push factors, and push factors make people not want to come here, or if they're here, it makes them want to leave. We need to be concentrating on push factors. We cannot physically deport millions and millions of people. It will take years and years and years and years and cost a fortune. But what we can do is promote self-deportation, where we make life here uncomfortable for people we don't want to stay, and they end up leaving themselves. And it could be things like banning halal meat and kosher slaughter. So you can't ban one without the other. But so we ban religious slaughter of meat. Many Muslims would leave because of that. We could ban religious schools. Why do we have religious schools? So we could ban that. I'm not saying we should do this. I'm just saying these are just the different examples we could do that are classed under push factors. We could push people to leave. We could say anybody who was ever born in a foreign country who's in the UK, unless they were born British in a foreign country, such as your wife's pregnant, you go on holiday in Spain, she gives birth. Of course, that baby's British. British parents happen to be on holiday. But people who are born in India by Indian parents come to the UK. We should have rules where you can never claim benefits, ever. Even if you become a citizen, even if you marry a British person, the fact you were born abroad means you can never claim benefits in this country. That's a huge push factor. We start pushing people back to where they belong. We need more policies like that.
Yep, without doubt. Do you think, this is a funny one, I think it was Craig Walton asked this, and before he answered it, he did laugh, but so feel free. Do you think the British countryside is too white?
No. The British countryside is the British countryside. The people who talk about these things, especially if they're immigrants, need deporting straight away. I would deport them. If you're not a British citizen in this country and you're being disrespectful to this country, you should be deported the next day. You may want to appeal, but you only can appeal from your home country, not from this country. I'm sick of guests in this country being so disrespectful. You should be grateful you live here. You should be grateful we allowed you to come here. You should be grateful we allow you to live with us, because we're amazing people. We're the greatest people this planet has ever produced. You have to look at history books to know that. British Empire, we stopped slavery. We invented most of medicines, most of technology, most of science. And we've allowed you to live with semi-gods. You need to show some respect. That's how we treat those people. And then we need to push back on the British citizens. And usually middle-class, woke, white people say this crap as well. And we need to push back on them. And we need to say, this country is this country, and if we think immigration is a good thing, well, over the last 70 years, every decade we've had more and more immigration for 70 years, and every decade things have got worse and worse and worse and worse. So mass immigration isn't the panacea you think it is, because you'd think by this point things would be getting better, but they're not. We just need to verbally attack, and punish and challenge these people who come out with this woke crap, because I'm sick of it. We had one in the press today. The British Army have sent a questionnaire to all British soldiers, to male soldiers, asking, do you want us to change the rules so you can wear makeup and nail varnish like women? It's like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed someone could say that to me. I'd say, don't be daft. You're making this crap up. Roll on 10 years. In the middle of our bases being bombed by Iran, we're asking our soldiers, do you want to wear some makeup, Chucky? That's a nice colour nail varnish, baby. It's like, and you wonder why we're not feared around the world. We've become a laughing stock.
Yep, I literally spoke about it yesterday or the day before, because I've been on my phone now. I actually put the writing in yellow, but I had to put it pink, and it was like, grab your makeup, soldiers. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's ludicrous. Can you imagine them all coming, running over the hill wearing pink, like, hello, hello. Oh, yeah, the Russians are going to be really scared of that. Yep. So yeah, what you say, it's ridiculous. But with regards to obviously the illegals and all that, obviously that's when we come to the ECHR. Surely that's got to go without doubt. Surely,
yeah, more than that. The ECHR has to go. We have to pull out of the European Convention of Refugees. We need to pull out the World Health Organization. There's maybe a dozen international organizations we have to pull out of, because I want us again to be a sovereign, independent country, not looking at any other international body to see if we can do something. If our parliament says we can do it, we can do it. And that's how it should be. I want to get back to that.
Yep. What about the hate laws or hate speech law? I don't know what we've got at the moment, but I mean, with what happened with Lucy Connolly, and you think, hang on, I know what she tweeted. It was up for 3 hours, changed her mind, deleted it, but literally locking people up for tweets. I mean, where do we draw the line?
Yeah, I mean, the Lucy Connolly tweet is interesting, because she didn't tell people to burn a hotel. She said to people, if you burn the hotel, I don't care. So she got sent to jail for not caring, not for telling people to do something illegal, not for celebrating someone doing something illegal. She's got sent to jail for not caring. That's how bad our hate speech laws have got. So they all need scrapping. They all need repealing. There's so much like if I became prime minister in a government on day one, I would have legislation ready for day one to do a mass burning of legislation. I would repeal so much. And then I'd pass another law which says for every new piece of law you pass, you've got to remove 3 pieces of existing law, because we've got far too many laws in this country. So to pass a new law, you've got to get rid of 3. But that would be after the mass burning of so many legislations, all the European rules and regulations that we embedded into our legal system, burn many of them. That's what the Tories said they were going to do, but they didn't. All the hate crime laws, all the human rights legislation, all those things would have to go, and I'd want them gone on day one, a fresh start.
Yep. Do you think it would be a good thing for this country to, heaven forbid, but sort of maybe push the Christian narrative and like the Bible? I mean, I never done anything at school with regards to the Bible. We've done a little bit, about Christianity and a little bit about Judaism from what I can remember. But should there be more emphasis on this is a Christian country, learn the Bible, or not have to learn it, but you can do so much to study it or whatever, and maybe that would help the children as they're going through life. I mean, because it gives you a bit more structure in life, something like the Bible, surely. But, we're not allowed to read that. It's a bit of a taboo subject.
Well, we have preachers reading from the Bible in the UK being arrested on the street for quoting the Bible. We've had the YouTube videos, just because someone said, I find that bit offensive. They've arrested preachers reading from the Bible. That's, again, how bad our country's become. If you'd asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have had a different answer. I would have said, no, we're not teaching the Bible and blah. That would have been my answer. Roll on 5 years. I've come to the conclusion now, many of our problems has come because we've rejected Christianity. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate the value and the benefits of being a Christian country. The Western world was built on a foundation of Christianity. All our laws, basically, not all of them, obviously, but our major laws come out of Christianity, comes out of the Bible. So all our foundations are based in that. And once we removed God from people's lives, they needed to fill that hole, that gap. And that's when it started turning to other things, turning to communism, turning to ideology, turning to football to a certain extent, because that's tribalism, that's something to belong to and pray for. And we miss something. And I think that missing bit is God. So yeah, I would bring Christianity back. And that's what Advance UK would be doing. We would reaffirm this is a Christian country. We would have primary schools singing hymns every single day. We would have the promotion of Christianity above all other religions. We wouldn't allow any disused churches to be used by any other religion. And we are seeing a revival in the West of Christianity. Young people now have seen a fourfold increase of teenagers referring to themselves as Christians. 400% rise in the last couple of years. That's amazing. And I was talking to an American pastor early today, actually. They've seen last year a 40% increase in sales of Bibles and a 200% rise in the downloading of Christian apps on phones. So he says the same thing's happening in America. And President Trump has created the White House Faith Group, and it's 2,000 Christian pastors, and they've been charged with promoting Christianity around the country. And he said something that stuck with me. He said, Trump's always talked about make America great again. And he said, Trump's realized what made America great in the first place was Christianity. So to make America great again, we've got to go back to Christianity. So as an atheist, yeah, I would be promoting Christianity. And again, for people going, but Nick, it's just a religion. It did right. Well, all we've got to do is look across the world, look at every country in the world and look at what religions they follow. The best countries in the world are Christian countries. That's why all other religious people around the world are all trying to get to Christian countries. That is factual, and that proves Christianity has more to offer than any other religion. The people themselves prove it by flocking to the West.
Yep. We sort of touched on it earlier, but in 1989, for some reason, they decided to introduce the first Sharia court. I mean, that was never going to, it's give them an inch there, take a mile, surely. Yep. I mean, how many have we got now? I mean, the Sharia courts or the Sharia councils that they have. I mean, they have
someone counted them. Someone went online and looked online and said there's approximately 86 or something, but they're the ones that advertise themselves. There's dozens in every city that no one's ever heard of. So they don't need a government license. It's just mosques and religious centers set themselves up extras with a council as well. So there'll be hundreds and hundreds of them, and they need stopping on day one. So it'd be illegal. I'd want it to be illegal, set up a Sharia court. I would also change legislation. We shouldn't make exceptions in British law for different religions. And we started this 200 years ago. We started it when we introduced the Child Safety Act, or something about 1872, it was something like that. And that stopped child prostitution. It stopped the abuse of children. But it didn't mention male circumcision, because we didn't put it in because of the Jewish population. Male circumcision is child abuse. And then in the 70s, we wanted to stop people dying in motorbike accidents. So we forced people to wear crash helmets, apart from Hindus. Hindus don't have to wear crash helmets. That needs to go. Many of our legislation now have exemptions for different religions. All has to go. I want to be one people on one island under one law. One law governs us all. If we don't like the law, we change it. We don't start making exceptions for different people in different groups or different religions. That's how we've got this two-tier policing system at the moment, is because the police are so used to giving exceptions to different groups, different sexualities, different religions, different colours, different nationalities, that it's a pick and mix now. So the police pick and mix. I don't want to live like that. I want one law for all of us.
Yep. And one thing that should be law, but Labour seem to keep blocking it for some strange reason, is like the Islamic community do like to marry their first cousins, bearing in mind the repercussions. And I mean, the cost to the NHS are probably just end up being colossal. Surely, I mean, that has to stop. Surely that's just, is it common sense, is it?
Again, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have wanted to ban cousin marriage 5 years ago. I would have said, it's got none of our business. None of our business what adults want to do. If that's their tradition to marry their cousins, several hundred years ago, we were doing exactly the same. You know, small areas, everybody was related. So 5 years ago, I said no. But going back to what I said before about push factors, banning cousin marriage would be a push factor. It would push people away from coming here in the first place, and it'll push people who already live here back to their home countries. Some of them it will. It'll push some of them away. We need more push factors. So at this moment in time, I'm for banning cousin marriage.
Definitely.
How we police that and what are the consequences of policing it and what the punishments are, that's a discussion for another day when I give it a lot of thought and come up with how it would work. I've not worked at all that because at this moment in time, I'm not the Prime Minister. I'm not passing this legislation. I ain't got time to daydream about how this law would work. So, but as a one sentence, it's like, at this moment in time, I would ban cousin marriage. And just following that, so something I've just realised, I've been realising this over the last couple of weeks, I'm becoming more intolerant. And I think that's a good thing. I think one of our big weaknesses in the UK is we're far too tolerant. And we're so tolerant, we tolerate people who are intolerant of us. And that has to stop. We need to stop being so tolerant because it's become a weakness. It isn't a virtue anymore. It's become our weakness. The fact we tolerate everything. And it's like, no, we need to stop. We need to start being more intolerant. We don't like that. Stop it or leave. That's we need to start getting that sort of bit of us out to be intolerant. And I'm intolerant of cousin marriage. I'm intolerant of religious slaughter of meat. I'm intolerant of child mutilation under religious, pretenses. I'm not tolerating that anymore. And when I talk about, male circumcision, I was abused by the state, by the NHS when I was 6 or 7 years old. I was in hospital for an operation and they circumcised me at the same time and told my mum, that's what we do now. He was in, so we just took it off. I was mutilated by the NHS. Wow. So those types of it's stopped now. They only do it now for medical reasons, which is fine. Medical reasons. I don't want you chopping your leg off because you feel like it. But if your leg's got gangrene, of course the NHS should take it off if they can't save it. So medical procedures, yes. Trends, fashion, religious ideology, no.
Excellent. And we're towards the end now. We're getting there. But you do a lot of work for charities. I mean, what is it exactly that you do, and what charities do you represent, or are you involved in?
I'm involved in no charities at the moment. I've been blacklisted from the charity sector. I couldn't get a job in the charity sector. I couldn't even volunteer for the charity. I'm completely blacklisted. I'm a Nazi. I'm a fascist. You've just heard me then say, I want to penalize certain religions. Oh, no charity would let me volunteer for them now. Charity sector is completely broken. That's something else I would do if I ever got into power. We need to fix the charity sector. The charity sector now is part propaganda arm, part multinational business. Why do you think we don't solve homelessness or child abuse or child poverty? We don't solve it because far too many people are making a fortune out of it, and they've got careers, and they've got great pensions, and they've got private jets, all paid for by the charity sector. That's why we don't solve anything now. So I would take a hatchet to the charity sector. I would limit, I would have no charities that works solely abroad. No, I would not allowed to be funded in the UK. Charities that work outside the UK, I'd stop that. I would make charities split into two completely different charities once they reach a certain size. Let's say, once you reach £2 million income, well, you can't raise any more than 2 million. You're gonna have to split in half if you want to carry on. And I would also make charities when you start a charity, you've got to make a legal statement of what your charity is about. So, we will tackle child poverty. We will tackle child mutilation, or we will make sure farm animals are treated to the highest standards. There has to be a reason for your charity, and then you're not allowed to deviate from that. So a charity that sets up water wells in Africa can't next week set up food banks in Edinburgh. They're not connected. You can't do that. But what I'd also get charities to do is create a statement of them explaining and identifying when they've achieved their goal. So when do you shut down as a charity? Well, we shut down as a charity when child poverty is under 5%. And when child poverty hits 5%, that charity by law has to close down. Because what we get at the moment, charities set up for a good reason. Many of them set up for good reasons. And then once they achieve their aim, the staff go, oh, we don't want to close down. I'm on good money here. I'm on 50 grand a year. I'm on a great pension. I hardly do anything. Oh, let's pretend we're going to start doing these things. So it's just this creeping effect of charities. But I would take a hatchet to them. The Charity Commission is not fit for purpose. The amount of fraud in charities, the day we investigate that is the day people will get angry. The amount of fraud is tremendous in the charity sector.
Wow. Well,
and just let me finish on this. Let me finish with it before, in case I put supporting charities off all your listeners. Support charities, of course you should do. Find a small local charity to you, a local youth club, a local animal shelter, a local hospice, something small and local, and make your donations to them, because that money actually means something to them and they're doing work you can see in your community. Stop giving to children in need. Stop giving to Bernardo's, Oxfam, Save the Children. Your money is wasted. In fact, you're funding the projects that are killing the country. You're funding the projects that are sending immigrants from Cali over the channel. That's what you're funding. You're funding the woke university professor who says the countryside's too white. That's what all these big charities are doing. They're funding our enemies. So don't fund the big charities. I want you to fund small local charities in your area, because you can hold them accountable and your money means something to them. And lots of them do good work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What it was in the news today, and I was like, I've got to throw this in. But what do you think about Winston Churchill being replaced by possibly a squirrel or an otter on the banknotes? I mean, what's going on?
Disgraceful. We should not allow that to happen. What they're trying to do then is they're trying to make us forget our history and our heroes, because that's how you kill a country. Countries need a history, a story of that people. If you don't know where you're from, how do you know where you're going? So the story of England, the story of Great Britain is extremely important. And more important than that is heroes. We need, and all people need this. Everyone needs a hero to look up to. Someone you're trying to emulate, someone you're trying to be. You know you're never going to be like them, but my word, you can get closer than you are today. We need heroes. That's why the Marvel movies do really well, because people are watching that going, they're superheroes. I wish I was more like them. I wish I put other people ahead of me. I wish, I wish I was selfless. I wish I could save the planet. I wish I could save people. And we watch them and they're successful because deep down inside, we want to be those heroes. And if you remove the heroes out of our culture, and Winston Churchill is a hero, once you remove them, who do you look up to? Who do you want to emulate? Well, you become easy then to destroy, to conquer, to invade. So removing those people, like the other one is not Napoleon, Wellington. I think he's on one of the notes as well. They want to remove him. It's like Wellington beat one of the greatest generals ever to exist. Napoleon saved the UK. Napoleon wanted to invade this country, and this is just the latest attack on us, on the people, on our culture, and our country. And we have to start saying no. We have to say no.
Yep. Let's move on to your writing. You obviously start to write. You can't stop. Maybe you're on the Red Bull. I don't know. But there's a lot of books. There's a lot of books. They don't give you wings. They give you pages. One book, the title, I was like, oh, I've got to ask you what it's about. And that's the Anglophobia. What is that about?
So Anglophobia is the definition of hatred of the English. That's Anglophobia. And in the book, I discuss about why we're hated, but it means more than just the English now. Anglophobia means hatred of the British, hatred of the Anglosphere. It really means hatred of white people. That's how that word has changed over time. The British, the English, we're hated because of our success. And there's two different types of people who hate us. We've got self-hate, so the woke, white, middle-class idiots who seem to hate the country. And we've got foreigners who tend to be living here, by the way, who hate us. And they hate us for different reasons. So the white, middle-class, woke idiots hate us, mainly because of mental health issues. I talk about dozens of different mental health issues and how you can see similarities in that syndrome complex into being woke and hating the country. And then I look at the immigrants, about why they hate white people, hate the West, hate the UK. And that goes down to jealousy and envy. It's as simple as that. If you come to the West and come to London or come to the UK and you see what we've developed and you see the buildings, you see the infrastructure, and it's all failing now, but it's still magnificent to them. And you look at that and you say to yourself, wow, these people are amazing, because the best thing my ancestors ever built was a mud hut. So they're either better than me or they cheated. White people cheated. They stole our resources. They created slavery. So really, we built all this and we paid for all this because white people are cheats and evil. That's why they've got that. It's the only way they can cope, because the truth and the only answer is my ancestors weren't good enough. And it's a lot easier to externalize that shame and blame white people. So that's why we have Anglophobia.
Nice. And the other one, maybe this is what you touched on earlier, I think, but the other one was Lessons in Courage, how I fought back against cancel culture and won.
Yeah.
Now that's an interesting title, that one. Come on, tell us.
That was the first book I wrote. It was when I got cancelled in 2020, had to fight back, beat them all, got my charity back. I then decided to write a book about that. So the first chapter is about the fight, what happened to me, how I fought back, how I won. And that's one chapter. That's not a book. And I was thinking, right, what else can I put in this book? And I thought, well, people know my story now, but what they don't know is why I won. What was it about me that allowed me to win. So then I broke it down into different things. So I broke it down into character traits and why I have those traits and how I develop those traits. And I develop those traits through adversity. So I talk about stuttering. Stuttering gave me thick skin because I was the butt of every joke for a decade. Sometimes friends, it'd all be tongue in cheek, but other times it was nasty. It made me tough. Then I talked about, being held up at gunpoint. I've got 19 stitches in my head where I got beat up by iron bars. Now, that's an assault. That's not hurty words online, losing your job. So I talk about all these things that made me the man I am today. Traveling around the world, all these knickknacks on my wall and my office is, I spent a couple of years backpacking around the world on my own. That turned me into a man. So I wrote what happened to me and how I managed to find the courage, how, I was strong enough to take him on. But then I was also explaining about how everybody else has similar stories, not the same as me, because you're not me, but other people have overcome. Other people have things go wrong in their lives where they've had to fix it or been responsible for other people or raise younger siblings or look after a dying parent. We've all had trauma. We've all had hardship. And my book is really about telling people, discover that hardship, discover those battles you had to fight and you had to win, and take the learning from that into tomorrow, because you are formidable. You are tougher than you think you are. You can cope. You can take a lot more pain than you think you can do. And once you realize that and you realize you're a formidable person, then your problems in life diminish. And other people then look upon you differently because you're not weak and pathetic anymore now. There's something about you. You walk a bit taller, shoulders back, head high, because you realize you're someone special. And once you realize you're someone special, other people notice and they treat you a bit special then as well. So that's really what the book's about.
Wow. That'd get you going. You'd be ready to take the world on. Blimey.
Exactly.
Where can people find your books if they want to have a look, see what you've written, and buy one maybe? Where can they go?
Yeah. They're all available on Amazon. So if you just Google Amazon books, Nick Buckley, I've got 5 books at the moment, and I'm just starting my 6th book now. That should be out in the summer. At the moment, that's called Who Killed the UK. That's the working title at the moment, but the title might change by the time I publish it.
Well, that's going to be Tommy Robinson, obviously, mate. Come on. But that's ridiculous. Right, I'll put the thing up. Hopefully people ask you questions. We've got a super chat, but I swear I asked you this at the beginning, but he's asked, and he's even put in the chat going, don't forget my question, but you did touch on it earlier, but he did ask, like, would you consider being advanced leader?
I would consider anything if it improves the country and saves the country. So as I said before, it's not about me. I don't want to be a leader, but if that would be the best way for me to help save this country, then of course I would do that. And then, like I said, the opposite side of that, if someone said to me, Nick, you're a hindrance to the party, please will you stand down because you're damaging, I would also stand down as well. It's not about me. It shouldn't be about any individual. It's about the collective effort to achieve the goal, which is saving this great nation of ours. Helen
wants to know if Nick will be running again in the general election, which we touched on a bit earlier as well.
I'm 99.99% sure I'll be running in the general election.
Look, everyone's ready to walk through walls. Look, clip that speech, Wiz. I will. I'll clip it. So everyone's going to be ready for it. So, Hazy Fantasy, Nick, can we get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood and hope not hate?
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood need to be made a prescribed terrorist organization because they are throughout the Middle East and some countries in Europe. So why are they not here? Prescribe them terrorist organization. Hope not hate.
But they're a charity. Sorry, they're a charity registered in the UK, believe it or not.
Muslim Brotherhood?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a registered charity.
Well, you may be right. Wouldn't surprise me if they are. But they are a terrorist organization throughout most of the Middle East. Hope Not Hate is a charity, but once we fix the Charity Commission, Hope Not Hate would lose their charity status, because they're not a charity, they are a political arm, and they should be seen as a political lobbying group. And that's fine. I disagree with them, but they should be able to lobby at a political level, and good for them, but they shouldn't be called a charity, because they're not a charity.
Yeah, what we've got here. Nick, do you not see the connection between atheism, Islam, trans movement, Hope Not Hate, all fighting together against what is right?
Yes, and this all comes under my enemy's enemy is my friend. So the fact that they're all fighting us mean they'll work together today, and let's say they manage to beat us, the day after their victory, they'll all be killing each other, because none of them can work together. But at the moment, they're fighting the bigger enemy, which is the white working class British people. That's what they're fighting. But we need to beat them all. So atheism itself, they're not problems as individuals. Their ideology, their lack of ideology leads to other ideologies being promoted, such as Islam, such as trans, such as woke, such as the far left stuff. So if we deal with atheism, some of that will reduce. Islam, we need push factors. We shouldn't tolerate the importation of more and more Muslims. I don't want to persecute Muslims who are living here peacefully. I think people should be able to be a Muslim in this country, but we're actually promoting it at the moment ahead of Christianity. Trans is just mental health issues, and we need to address that as a mental health issue.
Yep, 100%. I think I might have to put a word into this myself, but it says, Nick, do you think that auditors in Manchester are helping or making things work? Auditors like that. So
yeah. I know. Yeah, auditors are the people with video cameras going around our city centres and the police and video. Yeah, I get that. On the whole, I think they're a good thing. Individual auditors, some are better than others. I'm sure some are just causing problems while others aren't. But as a group, they are a benefit, and the benefit for this reason: they're showing us a side of society we would never see. They show us how unprofessional our police officers are, and my God, they're unprofessional. The way they speak to people, the way they don't know the law, the way they lie, the way they bully, they intimidate. It shows us how poorly trained and how poor recruitment is for police officers across the country. And I'm saying this as someone who used to be based in police stations. I've trained police officers. I've won police awards when I was a council manager based in police stations. So I know the police. I used to be a huge supporter, but they're a failed organisation now. And then other things auditors do, like Manchester Pickley Gardens, they're showing us how dangerous our streets are. And we need to know this, because if we don't know how dangerous our streets are, we're more likely to walk in those areas. We're more likely to ignore it. We're more likely not to hold our politicians accountable. So on the whole, they do good work. But that doesn't mean I approve of every auditor, because I would imagine some of them will be arses and some of them will be really good. But as a group, yeah, not a problem with them.
Excellent. Samuel, do you think Ben's approach to politics so far is best? We sort of touched on that earlier, didn't we, with regards to the video, and you wouldn't.
I think the answer to this is it's not for me to say. It's for the voter to say. That's all that matters. It is. Does the voter resonate with what Ben's saying, or is it detriment to the party? And time will tell. Time will tell. All we can do is what we can do. Everyone's got different styles, different personalities, and we will see. But it's always down to the voter, and they will decide.
Yep, makes sense. We need Ben Habib on. Oh, Rich, I'll tell you, that serves me right for not reading it at first. I just saw the cues and I thought, well, it's Electrodoc, so I'll do it. But yeah, we'll Nick push this on to Ben. I'll see what you've done there, Electrodoc, cheeky. But yeah, I'm sure Nick's gonna have a word with Ben and say, look, the Wiz, lovely bloke, wears a silly hat, but you know, but all good. I see what you've done there. So that's not even a question, is it? I don't know. Is that really a question? How would you deal with atheism? I mean,
I don't think we deal with atheism because people have every right
no.
not to believe in
Yeah.
God. What we do is we promote Christianity. And if you're still an atheist, you're still an atheist. But we promote Christianity so the people who are lost can find their way home instead of then looking at atheism or looking at one of the other false ideologies to follow, to live a fulfilled life, to find direction, to find stability. We promote Christianity because over the last 1,000 years, it's done the Western world so much good. And there's nothing we can see at the moment better than that. Promote Christianity, the atheist. If you're an atheist, you're an atheist. You have every right to be an atheist.
Excellent. That's it. That's all the questions there. Literally, I said an hour and a half, 1 hour, 31 minutes. I mean, that's not bad, is it? Come on. That deserves a bit of, that's a bit of wizardry. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything that you would like to say, Nick, that I haven't covered, I haven't asked? Is there anything that you'd like to say before we disappear?
Just follow me on social media. This is on Facebook, so please subscribe to my channel. Just have a look for Nick Buckley MBE. You'll find my channel. I put daily videos out, and then follow me on X and Facebook. Same handle again, at Nick Buckley MBE, all one word. Right, there you go, ladies and gents. I think I'm already following you on X, so I'd appreciate a follow back. Shh. Yes. But yeah, that make me feel good. I'll be followed by someone who's an MBE. I'll be, look at me, mate. I feel promoted. But there we go, ladies and gents. I've asked you questions. I said I would, and I did. I think Nick's been absolutely excellent. So we can't ask for more than that. So thank you very much to all of you in the chat. Thank you for asking your questions. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. and at 7 p.m. with the call-in show. So for now, like I say at the end of every single show, that is the wizard's words.